Yeah. So first, I wanted to show you the design that we have on the Figma, and then what we'll be working on tonight. So I'm now opening the Figma in my Visual Studio. So these are the design that we have currently. So inside the design, we have the design system, and then we have the landing page. Please, can you see the design? Please, can you all
Yes,
see the design?
yes, yeah.
Yeah, so
Yes, please.
I wanted to give overview of the landing page, how um, you are going, the standard that will be using to work with, and then some of the setups that will be needed whilst we work on this project all together. So currently, I want us to work on this page, the landing page, if you can all see, which I've highlighted it. So first of all, after you've checked the design, the first thing that you need to do is to create the project. You have to create the repository for the project. And in that doing, the first, if you are using a Visual Studio, you first have to create a folder, which I'm sure we all can do that. And then after the creation of the folder, you then create the project that you wanted to run. Please, can you all hear me?
Yes,
Yes,
please.
please.
Yes. All right. So because of time, I don't want to waste time whilst creating the project. I have already created a project, but then I'll give you the steps which you follow to create the project. So first of all, to create, so currently with what we are working with, we are using React and TypeScript and then Tailwind to work with. That is the company standard which we are using for now. So before you first have to create the project inside a folder that you've already created. So the command to create that project, you can use npm. So currently I use Windows, so I'll use the Windows command npm create. So I use Vite as well. You use Vite at latest to give you the latest version of Vite. Can you hear me? You give you latest version of Vite.
Yes,
Then you
please.
give the name, you give the name of your project, the name you wanted to give it to your project. So currently with what we are working with, the name of our project is Kajis. So you give the name Kajis, and then after that, you create a template. We need to use a template in order to make the work easier. So you added a template, then you specify whether you use a TypeScript or JavaScript. So currently with the company standard, we are using React TypeScript. So you type React, then you add a TypeScript to it. So the TS is the TypeScript. So in this case, we are using React and its framework. That is why we specify the template here. And then when you are done, so this with this command particular, you need not to, you have to run it. You have to run it in your terminal. Let's say I'll copy it. And then inside your terminal, so see, inside your terminal, you paste the code here, then you run it. But I've already run it, which will take some time, will take about less than 10 minutes based on your network. And when you are done, so currently I will not run it. I've already run it already for this project. Then when you are done, the next step is to CDN, to change the directory into the name of the app. So currently we name the app Kajis. So you change the directory into Kajis. So in that case, you do it the same thing at the terminal. So you change directory to Kajis. Kajis. Then you type, you enter. It will take you into that particular folder. That is the app name we created. You CD and you change the directory into that. And after you change the directory into that particular folder, the next thing you need to do is to install the dependencies, which will help you to run your app, your React app. So installing the dependency, we use npm install to install the dependencies. After the installation of the dependency, your project will be built, which you see it here. And then you run the npm run diff to start your server. So after you've run the npm, they'll be giving you the endpoint as the local server. So you are using the local host currently. Then inside that you click on it, then it will take you to the main page where you see. I think I have to share all my windows so that you see what goes on in my browser as well. So let me reshare that quickly. So I'm sharing already the VS Code. So currently I'm sharing entire screen. So hello. So after you've run the project, you first have, you see the React, which I've deleted them from the project. So currently inside the project, I have nothing. But then after the installation and installation of the dependencies, you will see some code inside the app.txt. And then the app.txt is the main app component, which will help you to run your code. So the app.txt is the main component. And then we have um, the fabric folder. So this fabric folder is for static assets. So inside this fabric folder is where you define all your static assets. But currently I have nothing inside because we are starting everything afresh. And then inside your SRC is where you run your application or where you run all your application code. So that is where all your application code will be. And then we have the asset folder. So the asset folder is for the images and then the styles. So that is where you store all your assets in. And then we have the components. So the component is a reusable component. So that is where any code that you wanted to reuse in your program, you write it inside these components. So let's say when you pick a navigation bar, for instance, a navigation bar is being run on every page. That is the header, and then the footer also run on all pages. So in this case, you have to define or write all those code inside this component to reuse them in order to make your work easy. And then we have the app.jss, which is the main component for your uh, apps. So that is the main entry. So with the app CSS is where you write your CSS. So if you wanted to have a custom CSS, you write it here. But currently we are going to use Tailwind. So I'll show you how you also set up the Tailwind as well. And then we have the index.css. So index.css, it's, let's say, that is where you link any other external style that you wanted to use in your project. You'll link it inside the external index.css, or you can, if you are not using any external CSS, you can then write all your CSS style here and then import it on the pages which you want it to be. And then we have the pack. So for these ones, they are not needed. So the git ignore is for you pushing the code to GitHub. Some of the things that you ignore, the dependencies that you store. But currently, you are not doing anything with it. So with the index.html is the main HTML file. So you write some HTML file here. So this is where the main HTML file be. And then you have the package.json. So the package.json store all your dependencies. So the dependencies that we'll be installing. So let's say the first dependency that we installed will be stored inside this JSON. So that is what store all the package. This one for now, we are not using it. We are not using the post CSS for now. So let me leave it. Then we have the vit.js, which is for vit configuration. So inside here, you specify. So let's say if I wanted to specify um, my local host, I can therefore do it here. I'll write a server, I'll write a script where I can change the server, like the port. Let's say the port 5173. You can change the port by writing a script here. We'll get there and then I'll show you how to do that if in case you wanted to change the port as well. So now these are the files or the folders that we have after you created your first project. So after that, after you create the first project, the first thing that you need to do is to um, modify the app.ts TSS. So the reason why we are using the TSX is because of the TypeScript. So let's say if you are using JavaScript, the T will not be part. It will give you only app.ss. But currently we are using TypeScript. That is why the extension for the React is giving us .tsx. Please, is it okay? If you have any question, you can ask before I move on. I want us to start writing the code. So if you have any question concerning any of the folder or any of the files that I've taken you through, you can ask, then we proceed. Can I continue if no question?
Yes, please.
With respect to the towing, I learned you mentioned the configuration. We are here to talk about it.
Okay, thank you for remembering me. Yes. So there is a way we set up a Tailwind if you wanted to use Tailwind. So let me stop the local server. we'll be using Tailwind. So in order to use the Tailwind, you first have to install the Tailwind. So I did mention this. So when you are installing the app with the command I gave you, after you run the first command, you have to choose React. So the options, the languages will appear there, the framework will appear there, but you have to choose React since I am using Vite. So you have to choose the language you wanted to use. So after you choose the React, the next thing you have to do is the scripts that you wanted to. So you have JavaScript, you have TypeScript. So in there too, you choose TypeScript during the setup process. I didn't mention it because I was not going through the process. So these are the key things you have to notice when setting up your project. So now let's set up the Tailwind. So setting up the Tailwind, you need to install the Tailwind. So use npm install dependencies. So we specify the dependencies, which is D. Then you add a Tailwind CSS. So we are using a post CSS, and then auto prefix, so that it will give you auto prefix whilst um, you run all your code. So this is the CSS, sorry. CSS, okay. So after you run this command, you are now installing the Tailwind with its dependencies. So this post CSS, which I said I'll talk about it later, that is where is it? We have it here. After running this command, you have the post CSS inside your project, which will give you prefix whilst you are running you run your project or you write your code. So I think I saw it earlier here. Um, wait, wow, I saw it earlier here whilst we are. No, this is not the screen. Yes, this is the screen. So it is it, the post css.config.jss. So you have the plug, so it will give you the plugin for the Tailwind CSS and also the auto prefix that will be running. Now, after you are done with that, you now install CSS. So we have to initialize the Tailwind CSS. After you install the Tailwind CSS, you have to first initialize it. And how do we initialize it? We use npx Tailwind CSS init for initializing it. Please, is it okay? So now after this, you have to do some modifications to your project after installing all the dependencies or the initialization. So we configure the Tailwind. So you have to first open your Tailwind config.js. So after running all the command, that is when you see the Tailwind. So it will be installed. So after the installation, so by default, we'll be having this. By default, after you finish installing the Tailwind, you'll be having this inside your project. This particular command here, which this one is not part. if you're having this, but then we wanted to extend this CSS in order to be rendered in our application. So I told you earlier that the CRS is where we write our application, that is the codes. So in order to extend this CSS or to extend this LSRC in your Tailwind, you have to modify this tailwind.config.json here. So you have to modify it with this code. So in this context, the only thing that you need is this, which you put it inside here, that extend this tailwind CSS to the LSRC, which is the application. So in this case, we can run the tailwind in our application. So after installing it, you will not have this, but you have to specify it. You have to extend it to your LSRC, which is your application, where you write your application. So now that you are done with the extension to your LSRC, the next thing that you need to do is to extend this also to your project. So in doing that, you come to your index.css. So in your index.css, when you first run your application, there will be some root styles for default React styling. But then I have deleted all this because I wanted to use Tailwind. So in that case, I'll extend the Tailwind in the index.css, or you can delete this and create a global file where you extend it inside. So you can use global. So basically, mostly people use global.css to specify that the CSS, whatever is inside here, is global, that can go through or can be accessed on all the applications. So you can use that as well without using the index.css. So now that you've extended to your global.css, the next thing that you need to do is to render this in your app. So I said earlier that our app.tss is the main entry for your application. So in this case, you have to import the index.css in there. Please, do you get it? If I'm moving faster, you can let me know. So in this case, you import. So either you import the global based on what you wanted to use. So if you intend not to use the index.css, you have to delete it, then use the global. So if you are using the global, then you import it by deleting the index.css. So I think that is the basic setup for the Tailwind. Any question so far for setting up the Tailwind? So now that we are done with the setting up the project, we then come. So I said earlier that inside this is our entry point. Now, for the design that we have on Figma, you can see that inside the landing page, we have various pages. We have this is the Kajis logo. We have the home page. We have the job listing page. We have the, let me zoom it some more. So myself, I'm not. So we have the job listing page, then we have the company's page, and then we have the post a job page. Now, and then we have the navigation bar itself here. We have various cards. We have the footer. So whenever you are given a screen, you first have to check and see, okay, what is the trend? What are some of the things that will be rendering in most or will be appearing in almost some of the pages? So when you check the pages here, you can realize that the navigation, the header, okay, or the nav bar will be appearing on almost all the pages. So therefore, since we don't want to write this code on all the pages, then let's find a way to write it once and use it in all the pages. So in doing that, we have to, so I said earlier that component is for reusable codes. So since we'll be using this navbar, we then have to put it inside a component. So you have to write or create this navigation bar inside a component. When you take this page, for instance, you can see that we have cards. We have card details. These cards, most you can see that it's run through almost all the page. So therefore, you need to also create a component for all these cards and use them across the various pages. Now that we have, so we also have the footer, which I said also that are run on all pages. Now that we have identified some of these, we then start with the code. So we have to go to our project, then we go to the application and the entry point. So I said earlier, this is the entry point. So now we have to first create the route for this page. So since this is the entry point, we don't want to, write the landing page in here, but then we wanted to put all the route inside there so that whenever the application is being run, the route will take us into the various page which you wanted to appear on the page. So now with the routing, we'll be using React router DOM for the routing. So in this case, in order to use the React router DOM, you first also have to install that dependency in your project. So the question is, how do we install it? The same procedures we are using for setting up the project. So you can run npm. I've already installed it, but let me show you the code. Npm install React router DOM at latest. So the at latest means that we wanted to install React router DOM at with the latest version. So that is why mostly I used to add at latest to store the latest version for me. Now after you install it, you then move to your project to start creating the routes for. So inside the design, I show you that we have job listing, we have the home page, we have job listing page, we have companies, and then we have post a job page. So in your route, you have to first define all those pages in your route in order to access all those pages in your project. So now let's import the router DOM. So in importing the router DOM, since we'll be running this application on the browser, we need to import the browser router. So then import the browser router. And also you have as router. So we'll be using it in the route. We'll be using the browser router as a router in order for us to route our application. So I'm importing some of them. I'll show you what they are used for. Whilst we run that, we continue. You see it, the codes. Okay, I didn't bring the as here. All right. So now that we finish importing the router, let's create the pages or the route. So in creating this route, you can use class or you can use function. But I'll work with function for now. Yeah, so by default, with the extension that I'm using. So let's if you are so in your VS Code, you can also install this extension to help you um run your code faster to speed up your project. So you can install let me check you that extension. So this is the extension I'm using. ES7 plus React Radius. So this is the extension that I am using. So it helps you to speed up your application. It's done some of the automatic work for you. So currently, I'm trying to create a route. So I specify the router, okay? And inside the router, I wanted to have different types of routes to take me to to route me through the program. So now I therefore create the first route, which is the home page. But then I don't have a page for this home. So I need to first also create the home page in the project. So I told you that everything relating to the application is being done inside this LSRC. So in this case, I'll create another folder naming um, page pages. Okay, okay, all right. I don't want to use Pascal. I wanted to use the Capi scale. Cam, uh, sorry. Um. So I don't want to use a Pascal. So this is it. So your group or your team, we have a lot of standard we use to name your whilst writing the code. But then I prefer using the Kirby commas. So with the Kirby commas, it's use oh, what's the name? Crap. Use a hyphen. It's use hyphen. So let's say you wanted to have two names which you want to combine it to use a hyphen. So that's what I mean. So basically, let's all adjust to that so that it will help us. Maybe if you are merging a code. So inside the page, I'll specify the pages that I'll be having. So I'll be having a home page. So let me define the home page inside this page. So I'll make it home.p, or if better still, you have to create a folder because the home itself has a lot of things under it, has a lot of element or content inside the home. So I'll use home. So therefore I'll create a folder called home. And inside this folder, I'll bring the endpoint, which is the index.tss, which I said that TSS is the extension for the TypeScript. So now I have created a home page. Now um, we have job listing page. We have the job listing page. And then we have companies page. I think post a job page. We have post a job page. So these are the pages that we have currently. So now let's route these pages inside the entry point, which is the app.tss. So now, if you see inside the route, you are trying to route to the home page. So because we wanted to use the home page as the landing page, so whenever you run the application will come to this app.tss, and then it will pick the home page. The reason why it will pick this home page is because inside the path, we use the forest class prefix to specify that this is the entry or the first page that will be landing, that will land on the page. So this route, whenever you run the program, it will take you to the home page. And the reason why the home page will appear is because inside the home page, we have the index.tss, which also is the entry point or the main point for the home page. So in this case, whenever you run a program, it will come to the home page folder, and inside the home page folder, it will come inside the index.tss, which is the main entry point for the home page. So now that we've defined that, let's add the job listing page, which is the next one on our navigation bar. So in this case, you specify it here, job listing dash page. Then you give it an element. So this one is job listing page. So in this page, you use Pascal Camel to name it. So job listing page. So this is what I mean. So whenever you run the program first, this is what you are going to see first. So if you wanted to access any other page, you first have to specify the endpoint or the entry point for that page. So in that case, that is why we have here the main, the job listing page. So this one, we are trying to say that, okay, first, we be in the home page. If you wanted to go to the next page, then we are going to what the job listing page. That's why I specify it here. I'll show it on the browser and then you understand what I mean. So the next thing is you have to also import these pages as well. So before you can access this home page, you first also have to import it. So you see, we are importing home from home from pages slash home, because the home is inside the pages folder. So I don't have any code inside it. That's why I'm having an error there. So it's like it's not finding this home inside this home page. So that's why I'm having the error. So I need to specify that in here. So so I'm using a net React function. This one is React Native, sorry. So I'm using the React function. So inside this, I can say, okay, you can either use the index or use the home. But currently we have import home. inside the main entry point, which is the application app dot. So I have to use the um, home in order to call this home in the job, the main entry point here. So currently I'm not doing anything in this. Let me remove it. So let me import the job listing page as well. Then let me create it as well. So it's the same thing what I've taken you to. So I'm just trying to duplicate it so that it move on to the next steps. coming now. Okay. This is the posted job. No. All right, I'm coming. I'm having some error. So I'm coming now. I'm having some error. I don't know where it's coming from. Because I have other pages to find. Oh, okay. Oh, oh. So choose a file. Let me use password are constant. Spot photo. Uh, what error cry? Wow, 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 wow. So, oh, yes, that's a dumb. I'm coming. It's like no, it's like the home is not reflecting. I'm coming. Meanwhile, I have it in programming. Yes, this is Lord. See the home. Oh, Lord, thank you. All right, so it has come. So now the home is it's working now. At first, it wasn't recognizing them.
Yeah, nice troubleshooting.
He said,
Nice troubleshooting.
he said was,
I said it's nice seeing you troubleshoot. I think probably it could happen to us too.
yeah. So the challenge I'm facing is even though I've created a home page, it's not recognized in the system. My this thing.
I think there is more.
It's not
There is
recognized.
more that
So it has come now. So now let me proceed with the other pages. So you see, since I've saved it, so the reason why I'm facing the challenge is that if I'm working it, I'm not saving them, so it's not recognizing them. So post a job page. So there's something wrong with that. We go there. Yeah. So let me use the class. So I could live in the fullness forevermore. Oh, oh, if that's yes, yes. Okay, post the job. Post job page. Pages. Post job. Post job page. Okay. So inside there, let me see the name I've given it. The travel. The service declare, but it's not value. It's never read. Okay, so this one to the same thing. The system is not recognizing it, even though I have it. Post a job page. So we comment it.
Well, I think it would have been better, like right from the start, if you had like written the codes from the beginning instead of maybe writing and cleaning.
Is that?
It would have been better if you had left the codes as you were writing instead of maybe writing and then cleaning. Like maybe a fresh home page, a fresh React folder, and done everything.
Oh no, I want to take you people so that we all face the challenge together. You go and fix it. So these are the challenges you'll be facing. Yeah, sometimes you write a thing, the thing is all, it's there, but the system is not recognizing it. It's annoying. Oh, it's the job. It's there. Not post the job. Oh, post job element. Uh-huh. Oh, okay. Oh Lord. Post job. All right. So I hope you've seen the error now. So this one also is company page. You see? All right. So now let me import. Okay, so let's duplicate again. All right. So now, yes, enough of. Now I think I'm done with the pages now. So we have 4 pages. So I have defined the route for these pages. So I wanted to test and see if they will appear. The home page will appear because that is the first entry page for the route. The home page is the entry for the project. So let me run it and see run nps mp run. So what? Failed to resolve import CSS file. CSS main. Does the file exist? All right. So index.css. So inside the main, I imported index.css, but the file does not exist. I'm coming. Oh, lights. App.css. Global.css undefined. None. So I'm coming. Um, Let me go to the app. Fifth. Oh, so what? Import. Okay. I'm coming on. It's like the CSS I've deleted. Then I've already imported it in the config. Let me add it so that when you're done, take it from SS. Yeah, it should be running now. But post CSS, it looks like you are trying to use Tailwind directly as a post CSS plugin. The post CSS plugin has moved to a separate package. So to continue using the Tailwind CSS with post CSS, you need to install Tailwind post CSS and update your configuration. So as I said I have to install it, but it's not recognized. I have to install it again. The Tailwind post CSS. Oh, CSS. Let me see. Yes. CSS. Oh, there's this. This look like you are trying to install Tailwind CSS directly as a post CSS plugin. Post CSS has moved to separate packages. So to continue using CSS, install Tailwind.css. Okay. Oh, Coming on. This is how we are seeing it. Hello.
Hi, we
Hello.
are watching. Yeah.
Okay.
Hello.
You see the problem I'm facing with the tailwind. So that is, even though I've installed it already, but I'm still having a challenge. So that is what you also face. So notice the command and then how I'm solving them with the help of AI. Even though I've installed it already, but it's not working. So I'm reinstalling it again. So this one, so first I installed the Tailwind Post CSS. Now it has added a version 7 to it. So you can see that inside this I'm using Tailwind CSS too, but with just have to use the for CSS 7, which is version 7. So that is what I'll be using after the installation, since the main Tailwind CSS is not working. So it's like I'm updating it. Yeah, so whilst it's updating, let me keep working. So now for now I've created all the pages. Okay, I've created the pages that we're using. So whilst it's stored, let's focus on the how to work with the pages. Okay, it has been done. So you said I will update the the, the post CSS config. So I have to update it. Yes, so please can you see? So you can see that we have the home page now rendering on a page. Hello? Hello?
Hello. Yes, TV.
Yeah, so you can see that now we have the home page being rendered on a page. Okay. So one thing that you should notice is it's a long time I use the tailwind in the React because I'm working in the React Native. So it's in a, so it says it has been updated to post CSS 7. So that was why I was having the error. So you should notice it whilst you also so you use the newer version. Now the home page has been rendered on the page because that is the entry point. So this was what we saw on the page, the day's home. Now the question is, how do we have the various pages on the screen? So I said earlier that with that we can see that those header is a navigation bar that can be used across all the pages. So in this case, we have to use the component. So I'll then write them in a component and add them to the route so that it will appear on all the pages, no matter the page that you go to. So if you get it now, let's go to the component and then create a navigation. Let me make it simple. So we'll be using link for linking the pages. So I have to first import it before we use it. So let me import the link from React router DOM. So now let me use class. Now I'll not use the function. Okay, let me keep saving things for us. I move so that I'm not facing a challenge. So now let me use class. So you can see that I now have my navigation bar. So let me export it. All right. So inside the navigation bar, I have a link to the home page, and then I have another link to the job listing page. Then we have another link to post a job page and then the company page. So now, if I should run this program, I'm going to have access to these pages on the screen. But then, how do I run it to appear? So since I want this navigation bar to go across all the pages, at first, I can either choose to, let's say, pick a particular page like this, let's say the home page or the company page, and then call the navigation bar there. I can call it inside here. That means I have to import it and call it in here. The moment I call it here, it only appear on the company page. But now I want it to have whenever you go to company's page, you go to job listing page, whatever the page you go, you see that particular nav bar there. So in so doing, you have to do that in the app, which is the main route. So I have to let it come before the pages come so that it will be on top of all the pages. Is I getting it? So now I have to import the navbar from the component. So I have to import that one first before any other. Because so I'm importing a navbar from navbar component. So now I have imported. Let me call it. So where will I let it display? I want it to be on top of all the pages. So in this case, I'll call it before the route. So it will come right after the route. So you see that we have the pages now. So you can see that currently we are in the home page. So you see we have the home page now. When you start adding the styling to it, you see it will work. So let's say if you wanted to go to the job page, when you click on it, it will take you see that we have the job page, because when you go to the code, inside the code, we have when you pick, let's say, the job listing page, we specify our job listing page. So this is the div. So whenever you navigate, we are going to see this particular page. And I'm sure you know the use of div in HTML already. So there's no need for me to talk about that. So when you go to the post a job to, you see that we have the post a job because I use the div to render it on the page. So you see now we have now defined the routes for the pages. So you see that whenever you go to all the pages, we still have the navigation on top of the pages. Now let's start adding some styling to it so that it will look according to the what we have on the display, the design. So in this case, I have to first go to the design and then see, look at it, how it's look like. Then I'll also write a code for that. You can see that the navigation bar has a background of black color, and then the bar itself, the text itself has a white color, active white, and then a dim white. So whenever you're on that page, it means it has to be highlighted that you are in that page, which you have to get an active white. So currently, let's work on that for the pages now. Let's work on the styling. What is it? Come back. So now, so now I don't want us to use the list anymore. So either let's continue. I'll get. So you have the background to be black. So before you use the CSS, we use a class name. So let's use the class name. Let's call the class name. And then let's use PG. So the PG will stand for the background. Background. So what color is the background? Um, is it black, right? So let's use specify black for now. And then the text is white. So I'm coming on. Let's save and let's see if it's working. Because we have not tested whether the tailwind is working or not. Okay, so it's not being reflected. All right, I'm coming. So let me add a styling to the navbar itself here, and let's see. So in this case, I'll use div. I'll wrap the navbar inside the div just to add a styling to it. So let's give the class name. So I need to talk about this. The reason why we are using the class name, you see, when you are writing the CSS, the JavaScript, we use class. So with, let's say you wanted to reference your CSS, you use class to reference it, but in so when you use class name in the React, we use class name instead of the class. So you have to add a name to it because the class itself is the class that we use. So as I said earlier, we have class and then we have function. The class name itself is a function inside the React or a component inside the React that we already use. So in that case, you need to add the name to it so that there will not be conflict. When you use only the class, there will going to be a conflict with already a class inside. So whenever you are writing it, I would suggest you go to the minimum. I'm giving the minimum height. I would suggest you use the React page. That is where you can be able to know the the short name of the styling. So with the minimum, with the it is for minimum height for the screen, and then the background. The reason why I'm having this gray is because of the code I'm writing for React Native. So you have the minimum height screen, then we have flex. So we want it to flex to a column because they are all on a column, the items. So let me use the flex column. I suggest you use the official page for that. Yeah, that is where you know how best you can use it. Alright, so the styling is not appearing. I'm coming. Let me insert it and see if it is working or not. Yeah, it's working. Alright, I'm coming. It's working. Let me add more style to it and see. Okay. Oh, okay, okay, okay. Right. We've not import the global CSS. That's why. So you see that it has come now. Hello? Hello? Hey, are you
Stephen,
with me?
hello.
Yes, please.
Yeah,
Yeah.
hi.
So you can see that it has come now. So you see, at first I was not seeing it because the I wasn't using the I wasn't importing the global CSS. So now that I've imported the global CSS, you can see that the styling is working now. So you can see that when I the homepage, I'm able to see the homepage. So this is it. When you are working and then maybe you are installing something and then it's not working, come to the inspect of your code, you check it whether what all the code that you've written for the styling is reflecting here or not to configure it and see. So after that, I realized the global CSS was not imported. So I then added it. So you see, we have the black background that I've added. So when you navigate to the page, you see it's below here because I've not added any styling to it. So now let's keep adding the styling so that it will look good based on what. So this is it. If you are, when you are working with the tailwind, if you are new to it, you can come to the site, the tailwind, and then see tailwind CSS fit. Oh, so with CSS. So you come to their document, tailwind CSS document. So if you need a background, if you need a border, if you need a margin, there are names they have for it already. So inside their documents, you can get all of them. So how to install it? It's here already, but we have done that already. So the components, So if you need a Hilo session, you can just click on it. It will give you how you go about it. Maybe you need a feature section, whatever you want. They are all the styling here. You just pick the code. So I want to give you one example on how you go about it. So it has been defined here. So using the CSS. So if you wanted to have your own custom CSS, you can write it here. So let's say when you pick our design, we have our own font, the font that the UI designer have give us, the colors. You can This is how you specify. So when you check inside the code, I have a global listing there. I have a global.css. So this is the global.css, and then I imported this. That I added the Tailwind component and Tailwind utilities, and then I imported it into the main route so that I can use it across all the pages. So this is the main route, and I imported that global CSS. So if you wanted to customize it and use it, you come and do the customization inside the global CSS, and that is what they are showing us on the page here. So let's say the H1, you wanted to customize it. This is how you go about it. This is how you getting it. If you want a particular font, you have to define it here. If you wanted to use a frog into that is how you go about it. This is how you getting it. Hello?
We are
Hello?
getting it. Yeah, we are here.
Okay,
We
okay,
are
that's
getting
fine.
it.
Okay, please. So let's say you need a hover, how to use a hover. You come here. This is how we use hover and focus. So you see you have a hover background, purple. So this is how we use a hover. If you want a background, this is how we call the background. If you want a border, this is how we use it. If you want a focus, this is how we use all those ones. So if you want a button, so you get them here. So they'll give you an example how it will look like. So this is it. This is the example. So that this one, this particular button with the over, that is the code that has been written for you here. On this one, so this one, this is the code. So we have the sign up which is over. You can see that when you hover it, it's hover. This is the code for that particular button. They use hover background purple 700. That is it. So whatever you wanted to use, you have to come. You can't keep everything in your head. So you have to use the documentation whilst you are working based on what you wanted to use. So now let's continue with our styling. So inside so we are starting the navigation bar now. So we need a minimum high screen. So the minimum high screen, they've specified it already. So let's say when you go to the minimum height screen, they have a minimum height like let's say 10 pixel. 10 pixel, but instead of you writing the 10 pixel, um, 10 pixel, 10 pixel like this. So like they have already defined it already. So the moment you said you are using the minimum high screen, you know that okay, you are using the 10 pixel over there. So you have to use the documentation in order to use all those things. So with the navigation bar, the minimum high screen is good for it. And then we make it flex to column. So we want all the thing that we have, the pages that we have, or the text that we have on the page, or the links. We want all of them to be on the column to display horizontally. That's why we use the flex column. So when you read the documentation too, you get it. I can't explain all because myself, I use the documentation whilst I write the code. So now we have added a styling to the navigation bar. The next thing is, I think we have to add another styling to give some space between the pages on the navigation bar, because when you check on the page, you can see that there is no space between them. They've all come together. So you need to add some space to that. And in that so doing, you need to put them in a div, then you apply the style to them. So now we have to flex it so that they all display horizontally. So let's make it flex 1. I don't know if one of you, okay, let's test 1 and see. So you can see we are having some space, but still small. So let's come to the navigation bar. Then let's add the styling to each of the links. So currently I've added to the home page. So you can see that the home page is having a bigger font than the other pages because we have added the font size to it. But for the other pages, it's not added. So let's quickly do that. So inside the job listing, let me add that to it. So I added the same text font to it. Let's add a space first. Space. Space. Okay. wanted to wrap there and then give them the space. And the space I'll give it.
Steven, Steven,
Yeah, hello. Yes, please.
Steven,
Can you hear
please,
me?
can I ask a question?
Yes, please. Please, you can ask. Hello. Hello. Hello.
I think she's talking, but her microphone is
Yeah,
not.
Oh, okay.
yeah, I'm here now. I want to find out why you didn't install all the dependencies and packages before starting,
I mean,
and
you
you're
just
doing
told
it
me I'm
one
doing
step
this.
at a time.
Is that? You see,
I
this
say,
evening was when you told me I'll be doing this. I have not
yeah,
prepared that. Okay, I'll be teaching all these things. So I should have a note or even prepare something. I should have even run this, and I know that okay, I've done this and it's working before it becomes. I've not prepared for it, but with what I have, I'm also trying to make sure everybody understands it, how it works, because people will come with challenge, and if you yourself you don't know how to fix it, You can't move on.
Yeah. So, but then what are the dependencies and packages like you need to, install for, especially for this kind of projects?
Okay.
So I think that was the first thing I think we should have tackled. And I think when you're able to install that, I think the rest is easy to go.
Yes, please. All right. So with the basic setup, we are done with those what the things that are important when it comes to the installations with what we are using now. That was what I have taken you through. So installing the router done for your routes, the tailwind for your styling, then the React itself, and then the TypeScript, which I've take you through all those things. So the reason why I am using this is with the guy I'm working with. So with instead of him doing the things like how I specified the route here, where um, this routing or this going through these pages is not being done by page. So for instance, his work when he pick this particular page, like the home, the job listing page, he needs to write his code and also write a header for it. Pick another page, write a header for it, which is time wasting. So this is what I'm expecting from them. These are some of the things I'm expecting from them to make the things dynamic. And then the next thing is, so I think when I'm done with the, let's say, all the pages, I'll then go to the cards inside the component,
Um,
inside the
I,
page where you also have to define this, take the codes down. Then when you are done, then we go to the types, how to use the TypeScript.
okay.
So
But
myself,
look, I have a question. Looking at your output, I think it's going to take like forever to get at least even halfway through
uh,
with this first encounter.
yes, so
Yeah,
so
but since we are recording, I think the good thing is we are recording, so
yeah, so
uh they can
if
watch
you
it
want,
and then
so
eh,
if so me, I wanted to help those here, like so that they also know how to do it. And in this
exactly,
case,
exactly, which is a good thing. So that's why we are recording. So I think everybody could, the team lead could just drop it in the group and then they could watch it to be able to, come up with their own. So all we do is follow up.
okay, so in this case, I'm sure for now those in the here know how to use now who know how to use the CSS and the tailwind, know how to define routes.
Yes,
Now
please.
that the next thing left is how to use the TypeScript, defining the type, and then defining the mock data, and breaking all these pages down. So that is something I have to take them through also. Oh, um, so what do you think? Should I make a note for that, and then speed up your work in order for the recording so that it's not keep long for them? Hello.
Wait, I think whatever you're doing good so that like they could follow and do the same thing. That makes your work easier.
Yes, please.
Yeah, so since we began, I think that's okay. Yeah, if you can keep going, that's okay. As far as we could get at least one page so that they could just watch the video and do it and use it to do their own pages and frames. I think that's the whole thing. And if they succeed in one, I think they should be able to succeed in all other frames we'll be giving them to work on.
Yes,
So
please.
good job and more power to your elbow. more strength for you to continue.
Okay. So where am I? I forgot. Um, I think you are working on the navigation, the component. Yeah, so I'm defining the test, the color for the test, and yeah, that's what I just did. So I added a space, so I put them into div to have the space, but since the space is not working, okay, I'm sure because of this S, the S is not supposed to be there. So let me save it again and check. So the space is working now. So now the next thing is to per the design. You can see that we have the Kajis logo at the right side before these page links. So I have to then put the logo there. So let me try it and put the logo there. Currently I have not downloaded the logo, so I'll just use the test for example for them. So inside so that one will come before the, the links. So I'll create another link for that because that one also will be used to have a link where you can use it to come back wherever you are on the page. So let me use link for that one too. So let me give it a class name and let me give it the fonts. Okay, let me make the test. Let me use two extra large. Um, let me use the fonts. Let me make the fonts bold. Yeah. So now let me put the name there, which is the Kajis. So now let me see the outfits. Okay. So you can see that we have the Kajis now. Now I have to center these tabs here. Um, so I think the Kajis, there's some dots there. Yeah. So now let me center items. Items center. Okay, it's working there. Put it in a folder for now. Items should be centered. So let me center those things on the page. So inside the div, we have okay, I have a div for that. Make it items centered. So the property to is basic type children. Okay. Using activity. Navigate